Utah Puck Report. I'm your host, Jay Stevens. A lot of stuff going on with the Utah Hockey Club, and we're right in the playoff push. And then Connor Ingram mentions that he's going to need to go into the player assistance program. And that's a big deal. And it's a big deal that he did it, that he had the courage to do it. And I think this is one of the best organizations. And I've been on radio and doing the podcast talking about this quite a bit lately, how it just seems like, one, the NHLPA has really set players up for success, whether it's through, whether they're struggling with addiction or whether they're struggling with some kind of a mental health issue. And then SEG independently seems to be even one step further than that, making sure that their players are well taken care of. And when it happened, a lot of fans started reaching out to me and to Cole Bagley, our beat reporter for KSL, and wanting to find ways to do it. And one of the main people that kept popping up on Facebook is Jackie Johnson.
Yep.
So Jackie, tell us a little bit about yourself as a fan. Actually, just introduce us to yourself and kind of how you started watching this team.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been watching hockey since I was 3 years old. I mean, literally my first ever core memory is going to a Utah Grizzlies game with my dad. And yeah, it all stemmed from there, you know. But when the Smiths announced that they were bringing the NHL to Utah, I was actually in Cancun with my husband working in software sales. I hate sales. And I woke up and I was looking at everything and I just thought, why am I not more involved in sports? Like, I'm ruining my life right now. And so, yeah, so anyway, I jumped in full fanhood. Absolutely love the club, love the team, love Connor Ingram, you know, and yeah, so just a teeny background on me, I guess.
So, I know you're pursuing a career in sports.
Yeah, so when the team was announced to come to Utah, Connor Ingram had just recently also won the Bill Masterson's Trophy, which, for those of you who don't know, that is an award that goes to a player who has overcome like the most adversity. And Connor won that award after he had come out of the player assistance program. And he went on to have like the best year in his career over with the Coyotes. And so, yeah, I just looked up to him a lot. And I battle with my own mental illness. I have bipolar disorder.
Okay.
And so for me, I always thought, you know, there's no way I could go work in sports. There's no way I could be a journalist in sports because I have this disorder and that holds me back. And then when I found out about Connor Ingram and his severe OCD, his severe depression, you know, similar issues that I deal with, and he's a goalie, right? Like, he has probably one of the most stressful careers you can have out there. And I just realized, you know, what I'm doing, like, I'm holding myself back.
Yeah.
You know? And so, yeah, that's part of the reason why I love him so much, is he's just been so inspiring for me. It's
been interesting to see his ride, and you know, I've been honest that, you know, I was a Kings fan and a Knights fan going into all this, and I didn't know the roster that well. I had watched some games with the Coyotes, and I'd seen Ingram play, and I'd seen Veggie play. But then I got to have Ingram on my show right after. In fact, it was on my show that he announced that he had won the Bill Masterson Trophy. And that was all set up by SEG to let KSL kind of break news that way. And so he was on my show and we talked a lot. And I said, as I was going through all the people who had won the Bill Masterson, of course there's like Mario Lemieux, who overcame cancer and then came back and won the scoring title. So there was stuff like that, but overwhelmingly it was goalies. Mm-hmm. And I asked him, I said, do you think there's something about the position that puts us in a position to have to kind of have a rebirth almost?
Yeah.
And he said, I hadn't really thought about it, but when you do break it down, being a goaltender at any level, but especially in the NHL, is probably the highest pressure position in any sport, and maybe almost any job, except for maybe, you know, fighter pilots or people that launch nukes, right? Like,
yeah.
The pressure that's on you every day, every minute, is you cannot make a tiny mistake.
Absolutely. It's a high risk, high reward, but also the interesting thing about goalies too is if you lose the game, it's the goalie's fault. But if you win the game, everybody's like, oh, well, Keller got that, we won that game, but we don't talk about the goalie, right? And so, yeah, it's it's a very difficult job because everybody's holding you to standards, but nobody's really appreciating you as much as you deserve.
And goalies kind of understand that going into it, especially by the time you get to that level or any level like advanced, even at college. Like, if you get a shutout, you'll be player of the game.
Yeah.
If you don't get a shutout and you still make 39 saves on 40 shots, you're not going to be in the top 3.
No.
And whoever scores that game-winning goal is going to be in the top 3, and that's fine. That's one of the things about the job. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting, and I don't know if you've listened to the other episodes because we've talked about the pressure of just sports in general, and I've had Dr. Dan Freegain on the show a few times, who's one of the top sports psychologists in the world, right? T, probably the world, at least the country. He's like the guy. He works for Stanford, works for USA Hockey,
sure.
The men's and women's soccer team, and having him on and listening to him break stuff down. And we're having him back on in a couple of weeks. We got a bunch of people asking questions about the pressure of sports. And does it create this mental illness or these mental problems, or is it just a coincidence that so many of us athletes have some kind of a mental disorder? And I'll tell you, I was lucky to play for a coach who's he's famous for all the wrong reasons. A guy named Clint Malarchuk, and he's the goalie that got his carotid artery severed while he was playing for the Buffalo Sabres. Then he came on to coach, and he has severe OCD. And I had a conversation with him one day. Just he was talking to me as a paramedic, and just outside of training camp, and he's like, my OCD got so bad, like it was one thing to have such traumatic injury in front of everybody, but my OCD was so bad that it controlled every aspect of my life. Like even if I had a fight with my wife, when I got to the rink, I had to call her, and she had to act like everything was just fine. Because I couldn't go into the locker room and not have everything outside my world okay.
Yep.
And those things really do take away from the game. But now you've started this. You've mentally bonded with Connor, right? Like he's kind of did it hurt you at all, or how did you feel when you heard he was going back into the program?
Oh yeah, I cried.
Really?
Yeah, I cried. It still makes me want to cry. Just because I know how. So, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder like 6 years ago.
Okay.
And, but my whole life I've always shown signs of having, a mental illness. And, it's really difficult to talk about. It's embarrassing. Yep. Everybody thinks there's something wrong with you. And, I'm this small girl, that if I'm having a hard day, I'm very well received. But I couldn't imagine being a man in a very physical sport and coming out and saying, hey, I have this disorder and my mom passed away from breast cancer and I'm not okay and I need to get help, so I'm leaving. And it's incredible.
Yeah.
And
that can't be an easy thing to come forward and say,
And you see people that come out and they talk about him, they talk about Spencer Knight, and they say these like awful things about them, about how they can't handle the pressure, and but it's like you have people that have killed themselves over not being able to handle the pressure.
No.
And so for Connor to come out and say, I'm not okay, I need to go in and get help, like I don't know what else you can look for when you're looking for someone to look up to or someone for your kids to look up to.
Yeah. Will it change it for you as looking up to him if he doesn't make it back into the NHL?
No.
Okay. I know that's a weird question to ask. I just kind of wondered how that goes because, we talk about fandom. And it's one thing that I'm really starting to dive into a little bit more. I got online last night while people were watching that game. Bad loss for Utah.
Oh, yeah.
Last night, so this is, what day is it? Wednesday? So last night was the 7-1 loss to Edmonton. This podcast won't drop till Friday, so we'll have another game before then. But we had the 7-1 loss to Edmonton, and the fans were saying stuff, and then they were chirping, veggie a little bit and players, and I was like, man, it's crazy how before the game or last game when we were winning, everybody was all roses, and then when we start losing a little bit, everybody starts wanting change, want to fire Torini or whatever. You know, it's like, so I just wonder, like, how's the fandom work in something like that? But when you find somebody that is like you or that has similar issues with you and you get to watch them battle it, I just wonder, does it matter if they win the battle and come out on top, or if they win the battle but don't come out on top?
So mental illness is a lifetime battle.
Yeah.
And you're going to have times when you lose, and that's something that I've learned, and something that my husband, this is actually something I wanted to bring up is, my husband has been my biggest supporter with my mental illness. He's read books, he's done all these different things to really understand my bipolar. He probably understands it more than I do.
Yeah.
But
what a great husband to, honestly, not to interrupt, but what a great husband that's like, hey, I'm gonna absorb this and I'm gonna do as much as I can for you. That's awesome.
Absolutely, and that's what I think is so huge is people look at, Connor Ingram, and he came out and he announced this, but one of the unsung heroes in this whole thing is his wife.
Yeah.
She is going through her own battle and she's supporting him. And when we started putting these letters together, that was the first person that I thought of outside of him was, I don't know what the player assistance program looks like. I don't know if he even knows that we're doing this, but the person I do know that knows is his wife, and she'll probably be the first one who gets the box. And I thought, how powerful is that for her to see this community, even though Ingram hasn't had a great year, right? The fans and everybody rallies behind them and shows them like, hey, regardless of what this looks like, we love you. We're here for you. We're happy you're a part of our community.
Yeah, I can just tell you as a guy that's played at a level to have fan support like that, because you don't feel it, especially as a goaltender, and you start struggling a little bit. The fans pretty quickly go for the other goaltender.
Oh yeah.
And then they cheer for the other goalie more, or they even boo if you go in a little bit. I've been on both sides of that, and it's I don't know. It's hard to just say that. Oh, I'm just an athlete and it doesn't bother me. It does bother you.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to get chirped on the road. It's another thing to have home fans not support you the same way. So what you guys have done is amazing. And so when did the idea for this come up? How did you kind of structure it? Did you think it would get this big?
No, I had no idea that it would get this big. The fact that I'm sitting here talking to you right now is like still crazy to me that it got this big. But basically, I had saw a couple people post on Facebook that they were, trying to find ways to send letters to Ingram. And that's what's so fun about this, though, is like, yes, I spearheaded it for sure, but this was a community thing 100% all the way through. It's like there were a couple people that said, oh, I sent him an email, I did this, I did that, and I thought, what if we just all come together, let's put a box together, that way we know it gets to him, right? Because they're all together, none of them gets lost. And initially I had a little bit of a hard time, to be honest. Like, I had some people be kind of rude to me about it.
Really?
And yeah, it was so weird. I had some people like, you need to just leave him alone, mind your business. He has OCD. He's not going to want these letters.
I did see that. I did see something about him not wanting to touch the letters.
Yeah, and the thing is too is like, maybe he doesn't, right? Maybe he's like, I don't want to touch that. But with how SEG is, I would bet everything that I have that someone would be more than happy to sit down and go through like all 200 to 300 of these letters and send him pictures of all of them if he's uncomfortable doing that. Like with how supportive they are of their players, I would have no doubt that they would do that. But anyway, I had a ton of response from Arizona fans.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought, like, man, this is going to be really bad if I send him a box and it's just Arizona fans.
Yeah.
But as soon as I posted it on Twitter, on X, and I'm new to that, so I had no following. And I met Brandon, who does Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah.
And he shared it, and then he started reaching out to all the other podcasts, and they started sharing it. And then all of a sudden, it's caught like wildfire, And that night I had a friend of mine who flew in from New York who's like the biggest Utah Hockey Club fan. He loves them so much. So he was here to help me with that, and I had a couple other friends as well, and we held some signs, and we just were like, I guess we'll see how many people we get in. And I want to say that night, we got a little over 100 letters that night.
At the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now it's like even bigger. Like now the game on Thursday, we were doing 3 different times for people to come out.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
write letters. And the Delta Center was like, hey, we need to talk to you about security.
Yeah.
And involving like the different managers in certain areas. So everybody at the Delta Center knows and they're prepared for this, and I just thought like, man, this is going to be nuts on Thursday.
Yeah. Actually, maybe we can drop this one before and get it out so that people know. So tell us what's happening Thursday night, Buffalo at Utah, at the Delta Center, and you're going to be there and at 3 different times. Where can we find you and how can we help get letters to Ingram?
Yeah, so the first time that we're meeting is actually in the Toyota Club. And we are going to do just kind of like a small one because the club's huge.
Yeah.
There's tons of people, and the people in the club spaces don't come up. They stay in their club spaces. So before game, we are doing one in the club space. And then in the first intermission, we're going upstairs to the upper bowl. We're going to do one there. I want to say that's Portal AA.
Okay.
And then in the second intermission, we'll be back where we were the previous game, which was the Costa Vida by Portal E. And yeah, so we're just kind of going to mix it up to make it easy for fans and hopefully not take up too much traffic.
Yeah. Did you feel like you were in people's way the first time you did it out by the Costa Vida? Or did it set up just because it looked like it was nice? I was going to come, but I ended up having to talk to a sponsor at that same time.
Boo.
Yeah, I know. That's like one of the only times I've had to talk to a sponsor during a game.
Yeah.
But I have to do what I'm told so I can keep the show, right? So was there congestion where you were? Did it get more crowded than you thought, or did it work out perfectly?
It worked out perfect. Initially, I was a little worried because it's tucked in.
Yeah.
So I was a little concerned that we weren't going to be seen, that people were going to miss us. But one of my really good friends, I call him Dewey, but his name's Ryan. He's just so loud. And he had these signs, and he's like, letters for Ingram! Come sign love, show the goalie love, And he's like running up and down. And I mean, I asked a couple of people, it's like, how did you hear about this? Because I wanted to see, like, was it X? Was it the signs? Like, where are you hearing about it? And they're like, oh, that crazy guy over there screamed at me and told me to come write letters.
Nice to have loud friends, yeah.
Yeah.
So what are the letters like? What are you seeing? Are you reading a lot of them, and are they mostly positive? You're saying there's some connection, right?
Yep. So I am vetting through all the letters just because it's kind of funny. It's like all love, right? It's all like the best, but some people get the 2 goalies mixed up.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, one of the letters had like a bunch of broccoli in it. Okay. And somebody was like, I'll make sure to eat my veggies while you're gone. Oh, okay. I was like, yeah, that's,
Okay, yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, and I've only had 2 of them that I've had to scrap. But the rest of them have been great. I mean, we've got fans drawing art. This one was really cool, actually. I don't know if you can see it. But these flowers are actually flowers they dried these flowers. Their grandma died from breast cancer. And so they dried these flowers and kept them at home. And then when they found out that we were doing the letters, they pulled some of the flowers out of their dried bouquet and put them in this card for him.
Oh.
Which I thought, like, wow.
Yeah.
And then there's been, like, fans this one was really, really sweet. This fan talked about how their mom died of breast cancer when they were 15, and how that loss has affected them their whole life. There is a gentleman named Matt who I actually got to hug that night, and he's this big, buff, muscly dude, and I just had, like, so much respect for him. Because, he's crying to me and telling me how much he loves his dad and how he lost his dad. And what's cool is in this letter, he shares it. And he shares his story. And he just talks about how his dad was his hero and how his dad passed away 3 years ago, and his dad's still his hero, and he's still not okay.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's so cool to see fans support like that.
It's one of the other aspects you just don't think about is just connecting with these people for other reasons other than they're an athlete. Just to see somebody struggling and going through what you're going through and being able to connect. And we started talking about this quite a bit. You know, I lost my mother-in-law to cancer. I lost my best friend to cancer. And so we started trying to think, how can we help? And me and a couple of the other podcasts, I was like, we're going to put together a hockey tournament called, you know, the Hockey Podcasts Against Cancer.
Wow.
And so we're going to have just a big hockey tournament. We're going to try and make it really fun. We're going to try and be one of the first things at the new rink at Southtown is just hold this big tournament and try to raise some money for cancer. I mean, we say cancer awareness, and everybody's aware of cancer. But there are certain cancers that people don't know about as much, and there are certain cancers that don't get the right funding, and they don't get their fair share of the funding. So we're gonna do more research on that and figure out what that is. And so I'm gonna get together with 3 or 4 other podcasters here, and we're gonna do our own hockey tournament and just try to help.
I love that.
Because it's just hockey's a unique community.
Yeah.
Where we try to love each other and support each other and go through this. The friend that I lost that got me into hockey, he's the one that got me into playing hockey.
That's really cool.
So it'll have extra meaning.
Yeah, my dad actually, so this is his second time being diagnosed with cancer, and it's been really hard. Yeah. I mean, he's not even like my biological dad. And he's just been everything to me, you know, he's been my biggest supporter, and now we just found out he has cancer again, and, you know, we're going at it again, but, yeah, I mean, cancer is the worst.
It is the worst. It is the worst. Well, I'm sorry you guys are going through that again. I really appreciate what you have helped organize with this community, and what's next for you after this? You say you're trying to get into sports. Where are you trying to get into sports?
So it's funny, when I started my degree, I just thought, you know what, I just want to work in hockey wherever I land. Like, I don't care if I'm in the ice crew. I just want to be in hockey, you know? And, but the corporate side of hockey is, like, it exists, right? Like, it's great. Yeah. But it's not, you don't talk about hockey. And so I very quickly realized I don't want to be on the corporate side. I want to talk about hockey. I want to be involved, and I want to be in the community, you know? And so I switched my major to journalism, and my goal is to, you know, become a beat writer, to be somehow involved in this hockey community. And I don't know what that looks like, you know, but I'm just gonna, I know I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah,
so.
Well, good.
Yeah.
We know some people, so hopefully through this podcast and
Yep.
through some other stuff, you meet the right people. That's part of it, is knowing the right people. The other part is long hours and low pay. That's the one thing. Even with the NHL coming to town, I thought there would be more money in it, and there definitely is not. So.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Like, I can tell you from my side of it, kind of being a beat reporter. I kind of carved my own niche because I didn't really want to write that much. So it is fun, and you do get to know the players, and you do get to know the coaching staff, and it's different to watch the games that way.
Yeah.
There's a different connection to it, and it's more fun, and it makes it worth the long hours and the lower pay.
Yep.
So I hope we can find you a path, and I hope you get into hockey. And I know the Utah Grizzlies are a great place to go cut your teeth.
Yep.
And they're always looking for people that'll come and work for next to nothing.
Yep.
But it's the experience. It's something. It'll help you out.
Yeah.
You've done amazing, and I just I want you to know from us, and I know Cole feels the same way, and Belle Frazier. We talked about you guys when it started. And I think you heard the interview where Belle actually asked Bear, like, did he know about that? And he said, no, that gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, I got home, and I saw that, and I totally cried.
Nice.
I was like, this is so cool.
Happy tears. Yeah. And good on you, and like, that's how you start, and you're doing the right things for the right reasons, and we appreciate people like you in this community.
Yeah, and I have to say, too, you know, like, Cole has been amazing. Like, initially I was like, well, you know, we'll just kind of get some letters and, like, find a way to get it to him, and Cole immediately was like, hey, I will make sure it gets to him. Once
Oh.
you have the box, like, come to me. I will make sure it gets to him. And it was funny. The hockey operations asked me, "Hey, how are you getting this box to him?" I was like, "Oh, Cole Bagley's he's already got that. He's on top of it." So, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think Cole and I both just said that right away too, and I think even Bell was like, "We got to do it." We could just even set up a box where we sit, and people could just drop them off because like most people know where we're at. But yeah, you guys have done amazing, and I know we'll get those letters to them. You think you got what, about 250, 300 now?
Yeah, I know. I need to start printing off the online ones. I was like, this is gonna take me like an hour to print all these out.
Yeah. You'll have to go to somewhere. I wish, I don't even know how to use a printer in this building. We'd let KSL pay for all their printer ink.
Yeah.
But we'll find a way to make that happen for you.
Yeah, it's cool. There's one fan that sent a letter in from Australia. We've got some from Canada. We've got some from the UK. Like, Connor Ingram has fans all around the world.
Yeah. That's one of the cool things about this sport is people watch it from all over and make that connection.
Oh, you know what? There's one kid I did want to tell you about. There's this little boy, his name's Ben, and he's like probably about 6 years old now, and he has issues with his spine, so he can't even stand. And he is in this wheelchair, and his dad sent me a picture of him holding a goalie stick from Connor Ingram, and this little boy is like determined to be a goaltender.
Oh, nice.
Because of Connor Ingram, and he's loved Ingram. They were fans of a different team, and this little boy saw Ingram play, and his dad said they had to follow Ingram after that because he loved Ingram so much.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool, and I hope that Ben finds a way, and I know whether, we have hockey for physical disabilities, and we're actually going to have them on the show next week talking about that program, and
Cool.
And they have all levels of it, and then obviously there's the sled hockey, which is, man, I've tried it. It's pretty freaking crazy. It's pretty hard, and they have a big presence in Park City, but we'll have to make sure Ben knows those connections. So if you have Ben's contact info, we'll make sure we
He's
forward
in
all that stuff.
Arizona.
Oh, well,
But
there's good programs in Arizona too.
Yep.
We'll make sure that we'll try to find Ben and find him on the right path.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing is hockey's a small community. Even in Arizona, we'll find connections.
Yep. Hockey's made different.
Okay, well, thank you for all you do, and we'll see you Thursday night collecting letters.
Yep.
Is there anything else you want to say before you go?
No, I'm just grateful for everybody who's taken part in this. Brandon's been huge. Hockey Mom, she's been amazing. It's funny, I know everybody from their X handles.
There's a couple different hockey moms. I wonder if that's Jen Frame.
Her name's Kelly.
Okay.
Yeah, she's been huge. She's helping make the box right as we speak. And then Justin, his name's Ski Bum on X.
Nice.
He's the one who put together these pucks, where he had fans that probably have about 100 signatures on the two pucks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've got those. I'll show you them so you guys can share pictures of them, but they're really, really cool.
Okay. Well, people like you are what makes the world go round and makes the hockey community so special.
Well, thanks.
So, Jackie, thanks for all you do, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we'll try. I think maybe we'll just drop this one tomorrow so that people can know and they'll come find you.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. That is the Utah Puck Report.